I feel like a child would rob me of that. It's a very strong word, but I do think you're not alone. Okay, I do think a lot of people are at the crux. But why? What made you say like it's gonna rob you?
I feel like the baby bonus is ridiculous lah. You know how fast can finish baby bonus or not?
Welcome back to the Alternative Budget 2023 debate. I'm your host Reggie, aka your Chief Financial Coconut, and I'm joined with...
Today I'm Madonna. But usually I'm known as Zad. I'm the head of content for Rise Media. Thank you for having me.
Oh no, you're my co-host, right? You're here to work.
Always.
Right? yes. And then we have two amazing guests. You want to introduce yourself?
I'm Sheikh Amr, also known as that property guy on TikTok.
Yeah, the viral TikTok guy.
Yeah.
Yes. And
I'm Jo Olivia. I'm the co-founder of Lendor, so a circular tech startup company for tech devices.
what is a circular tech startup company?
So you can start leasing devices like laptops, mobile phones, and
okay. So like-
tablets.
like hardware tech.
That is right.
Okay, I thought another like human AI kind of like...
We'll try that when we get there. Yes.
Today we are here, to talk a little bit more about like affordability in Singapore. Essentially, like the budget has been rolled out. This is like post-budget debate. Things are out, the numbers are out. We have all these bonuses and all that. So we want to talk a little bit about like, is Singapore still affordable, right? So that's the crux of the question. But before we go in, you must tell us why should we listen to you? Like, how Singaporean are you? Like, who gives you the position to comment on this?
Do we all have to answer?
Of course.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe starting with you.
Starting with me?
Yeah, yes.
I've heard these questions you asked, right? You ask this question to every guest, every budget debate, right?
Yeah, it's you ask me to ask one.
Correct. You are correct.
Yes.
But for some reason, I never even think of the answer, I feel like that question is so loaded.
Yeah, it is.
Because you're not asking about how Singaporean am I? You're asking me to identify my Singaporeanness, right? And I am not a typical example of a Singaporean or of a good Singaporean. I stay by myself. I'm single.
Single get penalized. Yes.
Yeah. So there's a lot of things. I'm Malay.
That one can say.
Can say, right? Can say, right? Because minority, ma.
Okay.
I'm minority.
It's prejudice,
It's prejudice. No, it's okay. Can say yourself, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yes,
Umar joke
correct.
about himself,
I can
it's
say
okay,
myself.
right? Yes, okay.
So, what makes me qualified to say this, to talk about this, right? Because I stay in Singapore my whole life, and as much as I belong to a publication, right, that's a little bit more alternative than most, right, I actually do think, right, that a lot of the policies that the government push out, right, is actually very good. I just keep quiet about it only.
Oh, now you're gonna spill. You're gonna spill today. So you wait. Tariq first. Okay, yes, your turn.
I think I come from the most average Singaporean background.
That's what everybody say, Everybody squeeze themselves in the middle class, humble background, average, you better substantiate.
But it's true.
Okay.
I grew up in 3I flat in Geylang Bahru. I don't go to any SEP school. I cannot go into SEP school Indian.
Hey, are we going there today? It's like all the social markers. I sweat, all. Where's my coffee?
I come from normal BT sec. I'm really the first of my generation to break the wealth gap, get out that rat race. So for me, it's truly understanding the struggles. I can empathize with my customer.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't.
So do you feel you are a success case in the system?
No. I think the system failed me. So, we're going there. I think the educational system failed me. I think I would say I'm a late bloomer. Very late. I think at the age of 25, then I decided to bloom. So, I don't think the system is one size fits all.
It's okay. A lot of people behind the set still blooming also. Yes, still young and blooming. Yes. Come, tell us, how Singaporean are you, right?
After listening to both of them, I think I need to...
Y'all can light-hearted one, don't need so chill one, okay? Yes.
Too late.
Yeah, can light-hearted, yeah.
Yeah, no, I think I also grew up in a very typical Asian family. You go to school, you study, your both working parents. Also a late bloomer, didn't study hard enough. And started working. Yeah, that's about it. Very typical, boring Asian household, I
Where
reckon.
did you grow up?
In Singapore.
Which area?
In Clementi, Bukit Timah area.
Oh, the expensive neighborhood now.
Wow.
Geylang Baru so expensive, I'm just
Yeah,
saying.
Geylang Baru.
Geylang Baru cheap.
Geylang Baru expensive now.
Geylang Baru is expensive what now? No, man.
Oh my god,
It's
Geylang Baru.
not,
Geylang Baru is
But that's like
it's like super
MRTs.
old one, no?
Yeah,
Old
yeah.
crazy people all walking around
Wow.
that kind. It's
Yeah, you
really
will cut
like,
You trying to run for MP, no? I take it that you're not, That whole speech,
Walao,
someday the person will cut the TikTok, hey, this guy want to run for MP. But you say all our friends here, gila.
I just assume it is, right? Because Geylang Baru is quite central.
yeah, but
Right.
too many old flats over there. Yeah,
It just needs to be raised and built, sirs, there.
yeah,
it's really-
that's probably what's gonna happen now.
Yeah, yeah.
They have this new thing called verse that we still have no idea what's it about.
Mm.
So yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, okay, fair. Cool. I'm glad that you've established it and the tonality that is set today is very heavy. So I'm going to try to, take it a little bit lighter. Okay, but first question, which is the genesis of today's episode, right? Is will HDB prices ever come down?
yes, I do think that HDB prices will come down. It's impossible for public housing to remain growing the way it is growing. It doesn't make sense. It is public housing to begin with. It has to remain affordable for the vast majority of Singaporeans. And if we were to continue to grow the way we have been growing since COVID 2021, then a 5-room flat easily in the next 10 years would be 1.4, 1.5 million. So that alone helps you understand that if we don't have affordable public housing, we won't have the same government.
Oh.
It's true. To me, that is the frontier of politics.
So you think that it will go down, it will become more affordable because of the principle of the program?
Yes.
There's a need for it. If not, there will be a change of guards. I'm quite sure.
The big question, right, is will HDB BTO flats, right, reach 1 million, right? I think it will eventually.
I don't think it will, because that's why they released PLH, the prime housing living,
Yeah.
because they cannot allow it to reach 1 million.
That's why MOP become 10 years.
10 years.
You have a
They stretch
different
it out.
parameter of play, lah, right? You
Yes.
use a different way to try to stretch it out and do all that jazz, lah. Yeah. But then, a lot of people, when they're talking about like the recent grant and all that, right? Or the
Yeah.
new grant that's
Yeah.
coming in, right?
Yeah.
Everybody is saying, or at least a lot of the narrative is saying that it will push property prices further up. It will continue to hold resale market elevated.
I think the resale market will remain resilient, but we are
Resilient. So PR, right?
Yeah.
That means the prices will stay high, lah. That means it will not come down.
I think it will stagnate for a while. Okay, the biggest misconception, and this is the problem with Singaporeans, is that we are not patient, right? We are really not patient. We want price to go down as fast as it went up. But that's just not how it works. Prices shoot up drastically because of like a black swan event like COVID. But when it comes down, it comes down gradually, right? Slowly, bit by bit. And it takes time for these things to happen. We also cannot deny, and this is something that I always talk about, is that property agents control the HDB market. And now with social media, it's a lot worse. So when you say things like cooling, like for example, the budget, grants increase, you better sell fast. Fear gets instilled because fear is the best source of marketing,
Yeah.
right? And that's really the basis of my passion. Like I come in and push the boundaries and I test the alternative news, right? Where are you sure it's going to go up? Like how can you be sure? Because the last I checked, right? For example, grants can't pay for cash over valuation.
Yeah.
Right? Grants can't pay for that. So grants were not designed to help you overpay. They were always meant to help bridge the gap to the current valuation. So, and government understands that. So if you are not coming from a place of marketing and you're actually talking about the situation, then yeah, I don't think the grants are going to affect and really push the prices up. Because it's 4-room at the end of the day that gets the most amount of grant. The 5-room, only 10K. The cooling measure wiped out everyone who had money. So who's pushing up the price? It's going to stagnate.
Who?
Right? It's going to stagnate, right? No one's going to push up the price, yeah? It's going to stagnate. We will see the prices increase still, but it's a smaller and smaller increase. Till a point where we see zero or no price movement this month. And then start to see the decrease.
Then
Right.
it comes 2020. Oh, it comes 2019.
It becomes 2019 all over again. It becomes like 2014 actually, where it's It's stagnates at the thing, but we won't go back to previous prices. That's why the resale grant has increased and it's going to stay that way. We will just see this price still affordable. It becomes affordable because why? Singaporeans always get used to things very fast lah. You know, cooling measure, we never remove it. There's no cooling measure that gets removed, right? Because we all just get very used to things.
And it's a great source of income for the nation.
Yeah.
It's true. It's a great way to tax wealth, just saying.
Yeah. In that sense, once Singaporeans get used to these prices and everybody now can afford it with the grant, it will just stagnate at that price until another black swan event happens and resale goes up again.
So is it affordable in Singapore?
I think it is affordable.
Please go for it.
I do think that now with the new grants, it's going to be a lot more affordable. Though many might feel that it's going to increase the price. But people don't understand, one, I don't think our government is stupid. Right? I don't think I have seen an election for as long as I've known what an election is where property prices were high. I think we can establish that as a fact.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Okay.
So I don't think the government is stupid. I think the government understands what they are doing when they do it. And the grants were never designed from this budget to actually increase the price further. It was really meant to bridge the gap for those who can't afford based on the prices today. Because we have now a down payment as compared to 5 years ago of 10%, now it's gone up to 20%. So with 80,000, every Singaporean, me and all of us, as long as we are eligible for a grant the first time, if we buy a resale, we can afford the down payment for majority of the houses out there. Assuming we have the loan, we have the income and stuff like that. So that was what the grant was designed to do, not to overpay for a house. So I do think that after the budget, housing will become a lot more affordable for a lot of Singaporeans.
But before the budget?
Before the
So
budget...
at this point in time, you know, budget not out yet. You know, I mean, it's out yet, but not rolling yet, right? So is it affordable today? And it's not just housing, you know, broader
housing
idea.
Is that before the budget, majority of the resale market was extremely outreach for a lot of people. I would say that. It was really, everybody was maxing out every single cent they had to afford the basic necessity, which is shelter, right? A home. So, and it's not only, it's really sad because it's not only just the fact that they had to put in all of their savings. Sometimes that is not even enough. It was in a market where pre-cooling measures, so we are talking before 30th September. And before 30th September, someone who had an income of about $5,000 could possibly not get a 4-room flat at all. He would have to stick with a 3-room, right? And $5,000 just pre-COVID could get you a very nice, spacious 4-room flat in most parts of Singapore. We don't talk prime estate. We talk Punggol, Sengkang, Tampines, stuff like that.
Just don't go Yishun.
Don't go Yishun. Yishun, you could get, something larger, like a 5-room even. So I do think that COVID has completely destroyed what home ownership actually means to people, and the whole mindset shift has changed. So I think it really shoot the property prices through the roof, and it was really not affordable for majority of, at least my clientele. Out of 30 clients I serve, everyone maxed out their budget. I never met one that had excess. Oh yeah, I could do renovations. No, everyone's taking a renovation loan.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
But then beyond, if you take yourself out of the housing frame, right? How about things like basic necessities? Food.
Makeup considered basic necessity, you know.
For me, yes, depends on the people, right? Transport. Food, essentially, do you think those are affordable now?
I think generally in Singapore, it's extremely expensive. I do feel the petrol prices were insane. The war just made it horrible.
Yeah.
Are we allowed to say that I go to JB?
Yes. I mean, I'm okay.
I go to JB to makan, happened to be got Shell there, then I thought why not lah.
Maybe Najib will tweet about it or something. I don't know, but yes.
This is how Singaporeans are taking advantage of Johor.
Amazing, right? How that became a contentious topic,
Yeah.
right? But okay, but it's part of the law, so like the Malaysian law. So yeah. Okay, and for you, is it affordable?
I agree with your initial statement as well. I think it's challenging, but it's affordable. Transportation, we have relatively safe and fast, efficient transport compared to a lot of other countries. We talk about food, vegetables, You can get them rather well priced at supermarket, wet markets.
Well, price is so PR. You too trained, relax. Relax.
No,
just
but the
say.
fact is, and if you really look into a lot of social media groups, right, there are a lot of free food rations,
Yes.
vegetables giving away.
Yeah.
Right, you just need to go to that particular location to collect them, and that's it. So you don't need to sign a membership. There's no consideration. I don't need to give you something before I take something. It's really wanting to, for the eco-friendly system to help the people be able to live better, eat better.
Yeah.
I think that's a great initiative. And I emphasize again, it is definitely challenging.
In what way is it challenging?
And I agree
Because I
that-
will not say that having food bank to support means that it's affordable. Because to put it bluntly, that is a food bank, right? And pushing aside the food bank kind of like light, away from the food bank, like the negative, like
Sure.
very cha-cha, then you get food bank. No, right? So we move aside from there.
Sure.
Just recognizing that if Singaporeans, need to go to the food bank, it's a very bad sign to begin with already.
Oh, I disagree,
Right?
bro.
You don't feel
Yeah.
so?
There is a block 287A, Sengkang, Compassville Crescent. I had a house for sale. It's on the 4th floor. And mind you, that house is complete west sun. So it's one of the worst houses to like get. 4th floor, west sun. Everything that ticks the box, not renovated. I had 20 viewings that day. Do you know why? I didn't understand as well. I come down after I closed the unit and it's a long queue. A lot of people who are over there, including the buyers that all came and view, all also queuing up over there with their baskets to collect all the vegetables, man.
Free. Yeah.
Free.
So I'm part of the
These
volunteer
people
group
can
as
buy
well.
a 600,000 house, and it's not like they cannot afford. I believe they can afford vegetables, man. It's a thing,
Yeah, now we are also looking at affordability is one thing as well. You also want to the entire consumption, right? If I don't consume them in Pasir Panjang wet market, let's say, they would have to throw it away.
Yeah.
So if we collect it, they don't have to throw it away. They don't have to add an additional cost for them. And with that collected ration, we feed more people.
Yeah.
It's a win-win for all. So again, I bring back, I don't, affordability is very subjective, right?
Yeah.
I think it's challenging. It's definitely challenging. But if you work and you don't eat in high, it's really your lifestyle also, right? How you lead your life. But I would think it will be increasing with all this benefit coming in. It will be affordable.
So what is the most challenging for you then? In your budget?
Okay. I think for singles to buy property, that would be
Yes.
it. Because
But you bought already.
I have to buy quickly.
Really?
Yes.
Tell me.
I mean this house, that this beautiful house.
yes.
Later we can like pan out at the back.
It's
Yes,
set in, right? So I think I bought this in June. I thought I bought it in June 2021. So this was before like the whole thing started to like go to shit. It was exactly that moment, because the moment I buy it, right, then everything just went downhill. But it was very difficult for me because the hardest thing, right, is that I'm the only one paying for this. That's the hardest thing. And I tried to apply for BTO, yes, but I applied 6 times, but I didn't get any of it. So I had no choice but to buy this. So this one, right, is I always tell people that if after this house MOP, right, I want to sell it and just move to a 2-room. Because I hate having this debt. Like, this is the only debt in my life. I have no other debts. This is the only debt in my life. And it's so expensive. For the next 25 years, right, I have to pay 1.2k
Every month.
every month. I mean, of course, I can use my CPF but a lot of like people say, like
Better
he
don't.
had like you have mentioned a lot in your TikTok, right? Try not to use your CPF. Try to use your cash because of the accrued interest, blah blah blah, all these things, right? But for me, I'm like, whatever lah. I'll just use my CPF. Yeah. So for me, yes, it is very difficult, and I know not all single buyers, right, are in my position, right, where I enjoy a certain income bracket, right, that is a little bit more higher, right, so I can afford to buy this. But if you're a single person and you earn like Singapore's median income start in 2022, right, it has been shifted upwards to around 5.2. Before that, it was 4 point something, right? If you're in that amount, right, it's going to be very, very hard for you to afford a flat by yourself, as a single person.
That's the most Malay uncle thing you said all day, man.
Is it? Yeah. I hate this
No
debt.
debts.
I don't
That's
want
the
that.
one advice I get every time from all
Why?
my. I think as a minority, we come from that space where we grew up seeing what it means to have a lot of debt, taking a lot of loans, because education wasn't like as easy for a lot of us, right? My uncles and all that, we weren't very educated, so we had to go and take more loans on to survive and live life in Singapore, which was increasingly expensive. So all of us grew up seeing what happens when you have like a whole house filled with courts items that now you can't pay for, and then installment, and then the bank comes in and then they start pasting things. We have seen things like that. So it really embedded in us that we really hate mortgage, we really hate loan, we really hate debt.
Yeah.
It's really scary for us.
Yeah. Someone told me, it's like they said, but housing debt is okay. Housing debt is good, right? Then I tell them, you know what's better than housing debt?
No debt.
No debt. How about? Yeah.
How about that?
How about that? No debt. Yeah, but Joe, you were saying you were saying like about how housing, how is it affordable for you or not affordable?
I think if I have any grumble, right, about this would be really the housing. So like BTO. So singles in their 30s, they cannot truly afford. And a lot of people cannot afford a resale flat because it's expensive. But BTO, as you mentioned, you've done it 6 times and you still didn't get it. And then what's next? Because they can't afford it, then resale flat, it's expensive. Then you push them into
Rent.
taking a larger debt to take on a private apartment. And then the more single people get on more private apartment, it's a chicken and egg. And then the private apartment prices will go up, and then it will be more expensive. So this is a very vicious cycle.
Yeah.
Right? HDB, secondhand, it's expensive, private's expensive, but you're pushing them there anyway. Whoever who's coming behind them would just not be able to afford. Yeah.
Do you know why it's so hard for singles to get BTO flats? This is something that I discovered. So single people can only get the 2-room BTO flats, right?
Yes.
The 2-room BTO flats are very limited. Maybe like there's 200. 50% is dedicated to families. From that 50%, right? So left 50%, right? From that 50% is dedicated to old people. Then we take the rest, So that means we only take like a 20% of that 200. 40 units are for single people.
What's the tagline in budget they said that really pissed me off? The fair, I can't remember. It's something moving forward Singapore with families or something like that.
Yeah.
They what was that? If someone can figure that out, it will be, to me, very disrespectful, because you're forcing family nucleus and forcing people to have families down their throat. You don't give us a choice. You make it so miserable if I want to be single, or I just want to have no kids. I don't want to have kids, right? You make it very hard for us.
Yeah. I actually don't believe in this whole like we will give you a lot of grants, right, if you are a heteronormative couple, because there's a possibility for you to have child. I have seen, right, couples who buy 5-room flats with no intention to get a child. They're not contributing to the economy, what?
Yeah.
Angry.
Very angry,
Very
I can
angry.
sense it.
But can I define affordability now?
Yes, please. Go
So
for it.
affordability for me, right? I think in Singapore, right, if you want to survive, affordable. If you want to thrive, not affordable.
Tell me more.
So to survive, right, is basically you just need to be fed, you need to not go hungry, and you need to have a home, right? You don't need to have your own home. You can they can definitely live with your parents. That is like the lowest rung, right? If not, you can rent. Then if lower than that, you can actually buy. You can actually now HDB has this scheme where you can rent with another single. Then they put a partition in the middle, that one, right? Then if not, then you can rent just directly from the HDB. There's so many ways, right, that you can do it. So in terms of food, every hawker center, right, has affordable food option because the government imposed that,
Yes.
Say you must have this thing, right? Can I also give you all a theory, right, about why in schools, right? Singapore schools, right, they will have canteen stalls, right? As opposed to like in other places where you go into this one big mess, right? I think, right, that is to actually prepare the kids, right, to buy food from a hawker center.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
I know what you're saying.
Yeah, so you teach them from young, from primary 1, right? This is the normal way to buy food, right? Then so that when you grow up, right, that becomes your basic necessity.
That's why when you go IKEA, you're like, wow, like interesting,
correct.
This experience like different, but actually that experience is
it's quite universal.
It is very universal.
It's only the Singapore thing, the hawker center thing, So to thrive, right, if you want to eat at a more uppity, highfalutin place, right? Like Sky.
Well, you don't even use atas, yeah.
Okay,
Highfalutin, uppity.
yeah, a bit
what,
uppity,
yeah.
a bit more
up
like,
there.
oh god, look at
Yes.
me, I have arrived kind of vibe, right? Dempsey, for instance, right? Then cannot lah. Yeah, but a lot of Singaporeans, right, have been led to believe, right, that they deserve to thrive. They have been led to believe that they deserve the best. Cannot take baseline, must be the best. So that's why affordability, right, you have to look at it from that frame. Is it really affordable if your dream, right, is to thrive and to really, really have the fullest experience? Like you have kids, right? For example, you have kids. You can send your kids to Sparkle Tots. Your CDA will cover that. But if you want to send your kids to like the LV of childcare center, which is Learning Vision, literally LV, right? You can't afford it. But your child will thrive. Your child will thrive because all the LVs, all the Learning Visions are at respectable places like like polytechnics. So all the lecturers send their kids there. So your child's playmates, right, are lecturer kids. So, there's a certain level there as opposed to a Sparkle Thought under the block kind of thing. So to survive, affordable. To thrive, cannot.
And what you're saying is the baseline, for this narrative is to thrive.
To thrive.
It's not to survive.
Yeah.
Fair. I kind of know what you're saying. I kind of know what
Like,
you're saying.
so for instance, you don't have to buy the latest iPhone. You can always get like the cheapest ass Oppo phone. It's also a phone, what? One must get iPhone. But no, must get the best.
I don't know, I think it's the complete opposite because I come from real estate, right? At the end of the day, I get to see all walks of life. What a lot of people that express their opinions online, in my perspective, is really a very loud minority, right? Because
So you believe in the silent majority discussion?
yeah, so it's really eye-opening when you are in this industry because when you really think about it, all right, let's just do like a very quick math here. If you were to buy a EC today, there is an income ceiling of 16,000, right? It's an income ceiling. That means if you earn above this income, you're not allowed to even buy an EC. By like even $100, you're not allowed to. So that would mean your loan would be around 1 million plus. Okay? Then the average EC as a first timer, because you also like a ballot, right? It's like a BTO, so you have to be a first timer as well. Okay? So the average price over there is about 1.5 million, 1.6 million, 1.4 million, even 1.3. How they get the 300K first timer? How they get the 400K? Young couples, and you see so many at the show flat.
Okay.
It gets sold out in a day.
So how do you get? How do you get?
I don't know. That's why I'm here to find
From
out.
their
right?
parents lah.
From their parents, right? And what you do realize, like from this one fact alone, and as I meet people, like you would see an average couple. The house looks like nothing like this. It's like really, really normal. It's like really, this is beautiful. This is like 10 out of 10. That's like 3 out of 10 house. And you look at their CPF and you look at their cash savings because I get to see everything, and it's like sometimes even close to the millions. You wonder, these people are all around you, but they just don't talk anything. They don't share their money. They don't share their wealth. And to me, I feel that there are just so many wealthy Singaporeans who are very quiet about this whole thing.
Yeah, no, because
Like-
I don't know, you guys know about the 1M65 movement. 1 million by 65.
Oh, yes,
It's like
yes.
a CPF thing,
Yeah.
right? And then CPF took it on and ran with it, right?
Yeah.
But there's already a lot of discussion that it's so easy to be 1M65.
Oh, you.
Yeah, amongst
I made a TikTok video today
yeah,
on it.
oh, really, yeah. So it's so easy to be 1M65. Like, should we go for 10M65? I'm like, Tariq, okay, it's not just about endless accumulation.
Yeah.
Right? Like, how do you define success in that realm? But that is a reality.
Can I ask a question though?
Yeah,
I think one big question for me is everyone talks about the Singaporean dream. What is a Singaporean dream?
Yes.
I cannot quite fathom and understand or reconcile the Singaporean dream. Is that getting married, buy a BTO HDB flat, have 4 kids, and work till my retirement age, and then piss off? Is that like how?
No lah, stop at 2, killed the 4 kids already. But now they killed the stop at 2. Okay, but
Yeah, I think the concept of the Singaporean dream, right, has always been a struggle.
Yeah, for me
Yeah.
as well. Yeah.
Yeah, because we're such a young nation, right? And we are so worldly. we're so worldly and we're so widely traveled and we're so well connected, right? So a dream, right, is experienced and defined by the kind of things that we see on a daily basis lah. That's why I don't think it's easy to define what the Singaporean dream is lah. What you were just mentioned, right? Get married, get a BTO. That one is not like a dream. That's like a process. I call it the Singaporean process. A normal, heteronormative, cisgender, married with kids process.
No, but on some level, I mean, when you talk about it, there's a derogatory note to it,
Yes.
right? But on some level, that is the success of the system, right? Because you can say almost any rando person can hit that thing. If they follow through, they don't need to be like top uni, they come out, kind of move along, right? So that's the success of the system. Probably what you would define as surviving, right? So and that's something that I think people can reframe a little bit in terms of their thought process, rather than seeing that this is as far as I can go. Think of it as this is the least you can get.
Oh, this is the least that you should get.
Fair, but we're talking about broadly. Okay,
Yeah.
like I understand where the question is coming from, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Right. So okay, fair. Then I don't know. Do you guys have kids? Do you have kids?
No, I don't.
No kids. Okay.
Do you intend to?
No.
Why?
I don't. My wife see this, she's gonna get angry. But
Never mind. We can have another episode.
it's either I want. It's either I want.
Please welcome wife. Outside. Wow, very big
This is a
budget
surprise.
production. Yeah, very big budget.
I look at my brother and I'm just like, I can't do this. It's he has 2 kids and it's so stressful and it's so noisy. They're screaming in your face. They're cute, they're adorable. Like if I were to have kids, I want twins. Like just settle it.
Because you want one time settled.
done.
Do you ask your
to
wife?
make the parents happy. Yeah, I try lah. She say okay lah. We can try and pray to the gods, but you can't
Wait,
choose these things, right?
Is there even twins in your family line?
Have.
Okay. Then possible.
Possible,
Then possible.
possible.
Yes,
Possible,
possible.
yeah. So I pray for it. If not, then give up at one. I really feel that children rob me of like he said, right, to thrive. I feel like I've reached that stage where I can actually thrive, and now I feel like a child would rob me of that.
Tell me more,
Wow.
please. That's a strong word, but I think
It's
think
very strong.
it's a very strong word. But I do think you're not alone.
Yes.
Okay, I do think
Yeah.
a lot of people are at the crux, right? So it's like you struggle after uni or you come out after your education, you got your job. First few struggles, kena bullied, right? Lowest life form in the company, and then after that you get somewhere and then you have some money. That's like, hey, not bad.
Yeah.
Quality of life quite good. And then you want to take the leap into starting a family, and you feel like, oh my goodness, this is crazy. And baby bonus, all these things, right? It's like good to have, but it's a very cost strategy, right? To try to get people to have a family. But why? What made you say like it's gonna rob you?
I feel like the baby bonus is ridiculous lah. You know how fast can finish baby bonus or not? Like how much how expensive is the milk powder to begin with? Some of people have to like go all the way to like Bedok. There's this shop that sells milk powder that's a lot more affordable.
Really?
Yeah. It's
Wow,
crazy.
I'm learning
Like,
so
then
much.
you
I
bring-
got vegetable here,
Yeah.
got milk powder there. Like wow.
Yeah, you can bring the cover, right? You bring the covers, then you get the discount. Like if you bring 5 of that plastic cover thing, then you can get a discount.
Plastic cover.
Milk powder got the tin, right?
Yeah.
Then on top got the
Yeah, got
plastic
the
cover.
plastic.
Oh, okay,
right?
okay.
Yeah.
No, this one is like a promotion from the owner lah. I mean the seller.
Yeah, apparently, I think they recycle that plastic cover or something. I don't know what they do with it.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
I don't think baby bonus really helps a lot of couples.
Mm,
It goes off just like that. And for me personally, like what I mean by thrive is that I think a lot of like even my clients who don't have kids, they resonate with this. And that is you put in so much effort, right? The last 10 years, your entire 20s, when like your friends are all studying and enjoying and partying and doing all the things a 20-year-old to 30-year-old would do, you are out there working, you are out there putting in the hours and really struggling, to have the Singaporean dream, which is get that condo, buy that car, do all those things. And then you hit that and you have the money to do that. And now you want to just like, I have it all. Let's just jump down and go back down that cycle of stress, and have a kid and worry about that kid and have to wonder like how I'm going to feed that person. And it's a whole like nightmare just waiting over there for you all over again for the next 18 years or 21 years, you know. And I know some people, this would rub people off like in the wrong way.
Okay, we're always about rubbing people off. TikTok viral, right? So please continue.
Yeah. And I know that there are people out there who genuinely want kids and they can't, and I'm supposed to be more grateful about this kind of things, you know. But like, end of the day, I just think that starting a family and having kids in Singapore, and then we have to talk about the educational system where I'm not very pleased if I do want to have a kid, you know, considering how it's very much focused on the brightest student and everyone else gets cut away, you know, especially in a neighborhood school.
Yeah.
It's 40 to a class and the teachers are always like just focused on the great ones, right? The ones that don't, they can scream, stand outside class. I come from the background at the time where my Tamil teacher could beat me and it's okay. It was legal then, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you think having children is not affordable?
Having children
It's not affordable. It's
I think it's not affordable.
affordable.
I think having children, I agree with you completely when you said that your kid could thrive if you went to Learning Vision. Is it
Learning Vision.
Yeah, but if I put
Not
them in
sponsored.
Sparta,
Yeah.
They should.
thoughts.
They should, yeah. But I think, right, having children, I don't know why the government keeps tying this like subsidies, right? Like the concept of affordability, right, with having children lah. Like it will give you more grants if you have more kids, all these things, right? But the trend is people are not going to have children. You want to fight? You cannot fight lah. Last time maybe can lah. Last time a lot of the Singaporeans, like our parents, right, they will have children because, you know, it's like part of the process.
No, because then they had no Netflix and Disney Plus.
Yes, correct, right?
It's fair point. Yes.
Yeah.
There's a lot of correlation study to show
So now,
the birth of the television reduce the birth.
yeah. So now we are in a position where we don't really need to have children. So I don't understand why the government just don't want to accept it. Falling birth rate is a inevitability. Done. Let's find a solution to that.
Okay, so the government's narrative, okay, or at least my perception of the government's narrative, I cannot POFMA, is if we're not going to have population growth, because it's a very capitalistic idea, right? If we're not going to have population growth, then we bring other people in.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like a 2-choose-1 kind of situation, right? Of course, they hope to have both, you know, a bit more balance in that sense. But so are you okay? Don't give birth. I break all the subsidies, okay? Like, we'll just give you as like a Singaporean bonus, let's say. As long as you're Singaporean, I'll give you a bonus. I'm not tied to childbirth, everything, but I unload the floodgates and allow people to come in.
I'm okay.
Yes.
Really?
Don't mind. Why
Yeah.
not?
I think quality is the important part, right?
Yeah.
Who is the barometer of quality? How do you measure quality?
That's a very good question.
Of course, I'm a professional. Yes. I ask question for a living.
If you have a lot of Singaporeans who doesn't really want to work, and then you will burden the rest of the Singaporeans, then yeah, let's just bring in foreigners from other country, right? I think it's really down to the per capita, how much can each person bring to the table. So as I agree as well, if we don't have enough Singaporeans, then we do have to bring other foreign talent here, other than just foreigners, foreign talent.
Yeah. I think it's fair. Either that or you either bring foreign talent in, right? Or you find a way to innovate without manpower, lor. Which is not impossible now these days. You can innovate without manpower.
But it's a double-edged sword, right? You bring in more foreign talent, then you start complaining about property prices going up. Then
How many of your clients are foreigners?
a lot of them.
Okay, so there's
Out of 10.
yeah, but there's a
Out of
difference,
10,
right?
I would say 4. 4 is a
Okay.
yeah.
PR, buying HDB,
PR,
or like
PRC,
straight into condos?
private. All the because foreigners can't buy HDB, right? So
Unless
out of
they're
all my
PR,
10 private property clients, then 4 would be foreigners.
Okay.
Right. But I have a question though. I think the property prices, not that I'm an expert, which I'm not, it's because people come in, they buy the property, they don't necessarily stay in there.
Yes.
Yeah.
They buy it, they hold it, they leave it empty, and then they flip it.
Yeah.
That's the reason, or I would think, is why it's expensive.
Are we talking about BTO or like
No,
EC?
just private property.
Yeah, private property. Lah.
Because BTO people do it as well.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
if you buy it, whether or not foreigners or whether or not Singaporeans, if you buy it,
Yeah.
you don't live in it, but you're just waiting for it to be flipped, then that is just going to drive the value up.
I want to add to this, right? Because recently I had dinner with my friend, right? He said, you know, it's like when you go look at the property portal, right? This was before the whole kerfuffle happened, right? He said, you go to the property portal, right? When you look at those listings, right, when the whole house is empty, right? How do you think that happened? Like, I don't know. It's like, I will tell you how it happened. This people, right, who apply for these flats, right, because they are young, so their income is very low, right? So they can afford, like government will give them a lot of grants, right? Because their income is low, then they are like married, they can have all these things, right? So, but they are actually from a very rich family,
Yeah.
right? So they buy the flat and then they just leave it empty and then they stay with their family lah. In their huge bungalow. Then after 5 years, then they just sell. Like, really, man? I really didn't believe him until this whole thing came out. I'm like, oh my god, it's really true.
Is
People
that
are
what
really...
the property guy thinks?
Yeah. It's been happening for a long time. So I don't personally take these businesses because like
They buy
one,
direct what BTO.
yeah, no, as in I don't take it to sell after 5 years because it's one, illegal. Two, I think it angers me quite a bit because this is really abusing the system, truly abusing the system, and there is no way for the government to actually go and police these people before they do things like this, right? I mean, it's unfair for you for them to check my background or what my family does and all this kind of stuff. Once you start fragmenting these kind of things, then it gets a bit more complicated. So that is what really angers me because I've been at that situation. I'm sorry, this is going to go into a very sad story once again, but yeah, I've seen couples who have 4 kids, 5 kids, 7 years trying for BTO, living in one common room with like their extended family, their parents and stuff like that. And they're really struggling to just get a home. And they're unfortunately, once again, the minority race. The quota also affects them. And they're not really of high income. They can't afford the resale. These people is what deserve that 5-room, not someone who suddenly got really wealthy and decided to upgrade to a landed, and never even put in the flooring. That person doesn't even have the decency to like put vinyl. Vinyl cost you 2,000. You couldn't do that. And you are just selling that property, and that's unfair. I get questions every day asking me, hey, is my income is at 15,000. Do you think I can afford a BTO?
Oh,
why?
why are you buying a BTO?
Why? Yeah, this is
Because they want to stay in Tengah. Like, eco living or...
Because Tengah, especially now that Tengah got ACS, right?
Yeah.
A whole different podcast.
That's a whole different podcast, but I have a lot to say about
Yes,
it. Yes. Quota is a very interesting thing.
touchy
Okay,
for me.
I had a personal experience with, because I used to run a small little bakery at Tanjong Pagar.
You did?
Yeah, I
Oh,
tried everything,
God.
all fail, right? That's why I say I serial failed entrepreneur. I can say it. Okay, so I tried, and then there's this lady that came. And then we were just chatting and everything. Of course, she's from the minority race, right? That's why I talk about quota, right? And then and I said, oh, where do you stay? I stay at Duxton, the Pinnacle at Duxton. That's what she said because we are around the vicinity.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, nice place. Then she was like, because got quota. Because of quota, she got it at a much cheaper.
Yeah.
That is what she was saying. So it's a very interesting, like
It's the same for
it's
me.
like a two-world kind of thing, huh?
It's the same for me with this house.
Oh, tell us.
Yeah, like there's not many Malay people here. So that's the reason why,
you managed to get this.
Yeah, so I found a house that is an estate sale and can only be sold to a minority.
To Malay, right?
Yeah, to a Malay person.
Because Malays would never sell over here. It's right next to the mosque.
Tell me more.
Oh, it's the ethnic quota, right? So now the amount of Malays in the area have reached its quota. So one Malay person can only sell to another. Can swap.
So why were Malay... Okay, pardon, but why will a Malay not sell because it's near the mosque? Just because it's near the mosque.
Yeah, I mean, for our religion, it's nicer to live near the mosque. Then you could go to the mosque every day easily. You don't have to travel, take a bus on Fridays, stuff like that. So it's great for us. Then when we pray, we could do all 5 of our prayers over there. Yeah, and that's something that is one of the like it's a blessing for us. In our
interesting.
religion. So that's one of the major perks. And you notice ethnic quota houses happening a lot in near mosque clusters. Right?
Oh.
So for a Malay, it's very hard to get at 245, that block in Pasir Ris, block 245, it's very hard to get a house there because no one wants to sell. And like all the Chinese over there are just dying, somebody please, come and buy. But there's no demand over there for them. So it's really hard. So it's the opposite.
Oh my God, so interesting.
Yeah,
It's so interesting. This is like ground feedback.
Yeah.
And
what annoys me a lot about this ethnic quota is that, yes, it's true the Indian lady could get a house at Pinnacle at Duxton, but she buys the house at, for example, 700,000. Okay, assuming she was the first owner, right? I don't know if she was the first owner.
I don't know.
Was she? We don't know, right? if she was the first owner, this is what really angers me the most that the government needs to address. If she's a first owner and she's an Indian, she buys the house, screw it, let's talk me. I stay near Pinnacle at Duxton, the house that I just got my BTO, right? I bought it at 417,000. Sale of balance.
Wow, and it's near Pinnacle at Duxton.
Yeah. It's a
keep
Dawson.
Then what are
Okay,
we doing
Margaret.
here? We should record there, right? Got
Still
view
renovating.
on. Right? Still renovating.
Yeah, so still renovating. It's a 60 square meter house, all right? So it's extremely tiny. It's half the size of this.
3 room, is it?
Yeah, it's 3 room.
3 room.
Yeah, 3 room. 60 square meter. Really 5 steps I could go everywhere in the house. 5 steps everywhere I can go. So
Tak
I
boleh,
bought it
sorry.
at
Yeah, please.
I bought it at 417k. The average price of similar units now currently selling in Ging Mall, similar location, 700,000. But I can't sell at that price because I'm Indian.
So you have to sell to the same race.
Because I have to sell to the same race.
Oh.
How is that fair?
It's a story.
I bought the same price, right? As a Chinese, I bought the same price, 417. And my neighbor is a Chinese lady. She bought it at around 418, 417, around there. Same, sale of balance. But she's going to sell at 700. I have to sell at 600.
Oh.
But you can sell at 700 if you find someone who's willing to buy your flat at
An
700.
Indian that's willing to buy at 700.
Yeah. So
An
that's the
Indian.
idea because
No,
the
because,
pool,
because
the
it's a
pool-
smaller pool.
Yeah, so the smaller pool. So it's as with all sale of like atas things, right? There's an apex to it.
Yeah.
Right? So if the pool is smaller, then the apex is leaner. Lah.
Yeah,
Right?
so
So there's
you-
lesser people that are willing to buy.
Yeah, so someone has, my exact neighbor who bought it at the same price, has 70% of the population to play with.
Yeah.
I only have
To play with, huh?
Yeah, like, you know, I have this amount.
Yeah.
And that's where the wealth gap starts to build, you know. It
That's
starts
so
to
interesting. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But do you realize we went on a spiel in a quite a privileged, kind of tonality?
Yes.
Of like, oh yeah, I can do this, I can do that. And never at one point do you doubt that you can, like
whether it's
in
possible or not.
the whole tonality, I never feel like you were doubting that possibility. Maybe it's a little bit of a stretch today, but it's not impossible.
It's not impossible, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that vibe that was going on.
Mm.
It's like possible. What? One day I'll do that,
Yeah.
right? But is it true? When we anchor back down from all the excitement, is Singapore still that kind of place where you can continue to grow and climb and pursue that kind of excitement? Because I feel like it's quite rare already. I never see that kind of, like I never hear my friends get, wow, you know that, wow, then that's that, wow, like very long I never hear that kind of energy already. So is it still possible here?
I think it's still possible, but you just have to work really, really hard, lor. And you really have to plan, lah. You really, really have to plan. That's the reality of it, lah. Whether you get a higher paying job or you get a side gig, something, and you just really, really have to plan, lor. But then, right, Reggie, so we are talking about affordability, right? You don't stay in Singapore, right? Is it because Singapore is not affordable?
Partly, I had a very traumatic experience. I think I talked about this on my podcast.
Yeah.
With my previous startup. So it was very traumatic, and I wasn't in the right state of mind to work. Right. So in Singapore, you have to work, lah. It's quite hard not to work. But I already have accumulated some capital that I can invest and make money and all that shit, lah. All that jazz. Right?
Yeah.
All that jazz. Okay, shit, not very sweet, yeah. But it was hard to live that way of life here in Singapore, right? So that means in Singapore, I need to work to supplement, my portfolio and all that. But I wasn't in the state of mind to do it, right? Because it was like post-traumatic of like startup rubbish. So I left, right? And after I leave, I went to KL, right? So I'm staying in Subang now, which is like a suburby town. I love it. And then I realized, right, Singapore, no matter how you flip-flop, you are a city dweller. So you live the city life, right? You can change career, do this, do that, change the industry. You are city life. So the way of life is a very city dweller life.
Okay.
Like where I stay, I'm like suburb, and it's like, I got 3 room, 2 balcony, open up. I got like a garden, small little garden in the strip. I can grow kangkong. I can do anything.
Is it really stress-free? Like you really
Relax.
can really switch off?
Yes.
Are you thriving there?
I
Are you
am.
thriving?
Can't you tell? I grew the whole podcast while I was in Malaysia, targeting Singaporeans, and I'm the biggest podcast today, right?
Yeah.
And a big part of this was because I had that arbitrage, right? I could do all this while I was in a place where it's like way more affordable and I was way more at ease. But I understand this is not everybody can do it this way, right? So and If you ask me, yeah, that is a different way of life. And I'm not saying like Subang is better or not. It's different.
Yeah.
Right? If you do the suburb life, it's very different. And of course, you do the rural life, it's even more different.
Yeah.
Right? In the kampong, you don't even need to spend. You pluck, it's the fruit already. You go, you drink water. If you live in the kampong before, you went to your friend's hometown from like Malaysia or like, in China or wherever, you will know what I mean, right? You don't even need to spend. The market is once a season, It's like, once a season, we go to the market, buy things, right? Because everything is there. And that is a big limitation of life in Singapore. It's not a Singapore problem. It's just a city problem. There's no way out of this thing. You don't have suburb. We don't have suburb. We don't have rural. Don't have, right? It is a city. And that is, I think, a big part of how Singaporeans need to realize and come to the fact that this is a city. You cannot one. There's no suburb. There's no kampong. Yeah. There's no other way of life but this way of life. And so when we talk about this, like, how do we like ease the pain and like improve the hope more, right? And I think like, although we went round and round, I don't think the government of the day is not trying to do that. Whether or not it's effective, whether or not you are broadly aligned with them, that's a different story. But I don't think they are not trying.
Actually, I actually want to ask Joe. So this is very specific to the company that you are in now, right? Which is Landor. Do you think the future of affordability, right, in Singapore, right, is in sharing?
Yes, I do. You think about renting. Right now, if I'm renting something and I don't own it, so for your mobile phone, warranty only lasts for 1 year. But if you rent it for, say, 36 months, I'm giving you additional that 2 years of warranty. If there's anything else, we do a one-to-one swap. Right? If it's lost, it's damaged. As long as it's not deliberate, we actually have that covered. So you don't have to worry about, okay, next year I'm going to buy a new phone. And what do I do with the old phone? Of course, you can sell it.
Yeah.
Right? But if you don't, and if it faults up before that, then what's going to happen? Just like for cars as well, if you buy a car, the maintenance is going to kill you. You can now rent.
Right.
So you have that worry-free also, I think, because it's also a state of mind, right? You don't need to necessarily own every little thing that, these are all material stuff, right?
Yeah.
So my family runs a watch business, actually. I used to have 10, 20 watches easily. And now I only have Apple Watch, maybe about 3 watches, Apple Watch and even a Casio digital watch, because the battery lasts for 10 years. And I don't have to worry about, what's going to happen if my watch spoils and this and that. So it's really trying to live a more minimal lifestyle. So I have more time to think about other things. So even my clothes are now very minimal, black. Whatever, right? So we don't have to think so much about, because when you stress yourself more, then there's just so much more that you need to worry about.
And I suppose it also ties into the fact that you say you volunteer for the food distribution thing, right? That is also like a sharing sort of concept, right?
Yes.
In a way.
Yes.
Yeah.
About it's really not wanting anything to go to waste, right? Whether or not, if you don't feed the people, what are you going to do with the vegetables? They're going to rot, and then what?
I actually posit this, and this is going to be very extreme, but I actually posit, right, that sharing, I mean, once you mentioned the sharing cars, right, I think sharing, right, is the answer to affordability.
Thank you.
Yeah, I actually really do think that. Like, you don't have to own everything. You don't have to own it permanently. You can just share it with someone else, and even with apps like Olio, right? So I use this app called Olio, right, to give away my t-shirts, right? I always tell people who are at the behind the scenes here, if they have things to give away, right? Sometimes they say like, I want to sell it at a flea market. I'm like, why don't you just use it at an Olio? Like, just use Olio and then just give your things away, because the people there are so thankful. Like, they'll come to my house and say, hey, thank you so much, It's like, no, go ahead, take all my 7 t-shirts, it's fine. It still works, right? And I feel like that is really the answer to affordability in Singapore. One of the proposal that Leong Man Wai and NMP Leong Man Wai said, right, is about the rental flats, the millennial rental flats, right? As much as people say like, this is like nonsense and things like that, but I honestly think, right, that the prevalence of places like co-living places, right, where you have to share apartments, share services, share accommodation, share facilities, right? I think that is actually an answer also to high house prices. So you actually take that whole model, right, and you make it a little bit more affordable, right? I think a single mother who is struggling to get on her 2 feet, right? If she is given the opportunity to stay in like an apartment, right, where she can share the facilities and it's safe, right? Why not? Right? Then she can work her way up, right? So that she can meet the affordability level, right, that most Singaporeans are at. But before she goes there, right, she is helped by this sharing economy. I think that is really, really the answer lah. So if people are saying that cars are very expensive in Singapore, it is, just share it lah.
Which you already see a lot of platforms doing that, right?
Yeah. And I think that's quite impressive. Carousel is very popular. A lot of things in my house here are like, I buy off Carousel lah. You know, people share their goodwill with me, right?
Yeah.
I have big ass 3 meter by 2 meter carpet that I buy for like $20 because someone else don't want it. So I will take it, right? And I really do think, right, like places like Lendola or the car company, I think that is really the answer to whether to combating affordability in Singapore.
So sustainability is the way to go.
Sustainability is really the way to go. I mean, it's great for the planet, but it's also great for costing.
I agree.
Okay, so I think last question. Okay, what is a Singapore you hope to leave for your next generation?
I'm very pro DEI, right? Diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I think the other thing is also sustainability. If we keep, there's just so much global warming going on, there will be nothing left for anyone to enjoy. So for me, that's definitely my biggest take. Well,
okay, I have a nephew and a niece. My nephew is 13, my niece is 10. The future of Singapore that I want them to live in, right, is a Singapore that is kind. I think Singaporeans are very unkind. A lot of Singaporeans I see are very unkind. The other day, I went to Bedok MRT, right? And then I saw a sight disabled man, right? And he was carrying a bell, So he had a cane, he was carrying a bell. Then he was just standing in the middle of the MRT station, right? He was ringing his bell. He ring next side. He said, "Is anybody going to Bedok Interchange?" Ring. I was like, so I was far away, but I can see. Then from there, I'm like, all you live in Bedok. That's why you all are here, right? Why can't you just bring him to the interchange? He's just ringing, continuously for like 2 minutes. It is so sad that when I see people like, why are Singaporeans like this? Why are we so unkind? And I think that unkindness, right, stems from the fact that we think we deserve the best.
I will argue different, but that's a whole different show.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a structural.
But do you think Singaporeans are unkind?
Yes, I can agree that is the phenomenon. But I think the reason is
different.
Yes,
okay.
So we can talk about it. Welcome, join our next podcast. Yeah. Okay, yes.
So that's my vision, a kinder Singaporean.
Great.
Singapore. Yeah.
Nice.
For me, it's really just, I hope that Singapore in the future would really look more at focusing on happiness first. Not chasing money so much, like chasing financial freedom, chasing the condo, the car, more and more BTOs just because you can profit. It's, I think where really Singaporeans need to learn is to be more grateful for what they have. You don't have to chase after the millions and only then you'll be happy. And then you stress out, you change your standards. Singaporeans change their standards about what happiness is.
Then yourself?
Me?
So what can Singapore do to make you come back permanently?
Lower density. Actually, I'm not against staying in Sembawang or what's that? Admiralty?
Admiralty.
It's very crowded now.
At first not so crowded. A few years ago, it was like, oh, so beautiful, so quaint, so quiet.
Yeah.
And I'm okay to stay in the fringe part of the country, in that sense, fringe. Right? No issue with that. Maybe because the problem, I come from Tampines, right? So long more Tampines, cannot walk straight. Right?
Yeah.
So that's the iconic part of Tampines. But yeah, I think that's what I need. It's very scary, this place. Because there's a lot of people, a lot of noise, a lot of sound, a lot of pollution in that sense, right? And it's something that you, like I said, you cannot change because this is inherent in a city.
Yeah.
So it's a feature, not a bug. Right? So I'm okay to stay at, Sembawang or something right? Or
Changi.
Let's say somewhere far. I'm okay. And I'll be perfectly fine. So till the day that I can, permanently stay in a place like that, whether it's a private place or whether it's a HDB, then you will see me back Perma.
And we will wait for that day to come.
Thank you. Like, share, subscribe. Hey, this one, like, share, subscribe. Hey, I hope you're enjoying this budget series brought to you by Rice Media and The Financial Coconut. If you like what we do, like, share, subscribe, follow our socials. Everything is in the description below. And meanwhile, take care.